So we're here with Jon from Pedaling Perfection and Sarah Ruggins. Sarah is doing a new record this year, end-to-end Europe. We're just looking at the moment at things like chamois position, pressure sensor testing, saddle types, flexibility at the moment, and just trying to kind of really make sure that everything is as close to perfect as it can be for the record.
And can I just see you down in the aero bars as well?
I feel terrified. 2 minutes before I was to go to the start line in the joggle, I was like sobbing in the RV. Not like in an out of control way, but just in a year of my life has been built like in preparation for this, and like I'm about to start in 2 minutes. So of course you're gonna be afraid, but there comes a moment when you just have to compartmentalize that and just shut it down. You know that feeling when you do exactly what you said you were gonna do and it like turned out better than you could have ever expected? Like that's what I felt. So ironically I couldn't sleep after I finished. I was up for a while, but yeah, it felt great. So I've never had like an official bike fit. I just kind of go with the vibes. So I'm really looking forward to this.
Like, it's almost a strength. It's the fact that you can do it means you've got really good resilience.
Okay, we'll go with
It doesn't
that.
mean that we should, but the fact that you can just get on with it bodes well.
Okay, good.
But hopefully we can make it better as well.
Perfect, I love that. Room for improvement.
So we can adjust everything pretty much whilst you're on the bike.
Amazing.
The only thing we can't adjust on the bike, which is the one focus, is the crank.
Okay.
So I've got that set as the same crank length you're already on.
Okay.
Because this will feel different, right?
Yeah.
There's no doubt about that. It's not your bike.
Yeah.
So what we want to do is we want to assess the relative change, not the absolute change. So obvious question, but do you feel like you can get all the way to the bottom of that stroke smoothly?
Yes.
If yes, we go. Same question again?
Yeah. Lots of room.
Was your other saddle height higher?
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that doesn't get over the top of the pedal stroke,
Yeah.
and you're spending a lot of time there,
Yeah.
then your body just has to constantly move that joint all over.
That's fascinating to me because it's like this is like literally the number one thing I'm concerned about for June, and so just knowing that it's like the hip problem and like an instability is massive. So okay.
Yeah, sometimes you just need to know what the problem is to be able to fix it.
Yeah.
And that's sometimes it's like not necessarily going to find like every single answer, but then you go, aha, that is the problem. And then we can monitor it, right? And so we can say, right, is it getting better, or do we need to intervene? Do we need to make changes?
Yeah.
So that's what I like to do now, is just test a short crank length, so your leg doesn't come up as high, and see if that improves it.
Yeah, feels good. I feel like smoother would be the word for it.
Try that back pedal test again, so unflip right leg. Better?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel more in control through the entire rotation. This one feels good.
Yeah. I mean, that one's fine, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Left is the problem. Fine.
Okay.
It's this edge you're catching constantly. You're getting in the way. With this side, it's actually got more space. It's just like air.
Yeah.
You might get pressure problems there, but it's usually that kind of crease towards that bit there, which is then.
It's literally right there, like right kind of where like your butt cheek, your sit bone kind of.
Yeah, makes sense.
The light bulb has gone off.
There we go. So yeah, I would put a lot of focus into trying to get more range of motion through that left
Okay.
hip,
Okay.
but also decrease the amount of range of motion that you're actually going through over the top of the pedal stroke by getting a shorter crank.
Okay.
And put your seat up a little bit as well. I'll measure it again, I can't quite remember the difference.
Yeah.
Can you feel a difference there, like from what you've just done now? Does that feel mechanically different to you?
Yeah, like when we do that single leg test, my hip doesn't catch as much at the top. It's a lot smoother, and I don't feel like it's almost impossible for me to keep my upper body still when I'm cycling, but now I feel like I'm a bit more smooth up top. So
then if we play that, it becomes this dot. and it's how much you're going to go from side to side, and then that becomes like a line.
Okay.
And our goal, our hope, is to make that line as symmetrical and central as possible.
Interesting. Okay.
So at the moment, how we stand is there is 65 millimeters of side-to-side movement.
Okay. I'm assuming that's a lot.
That's quite a lot. Yeah.
Okay.
Our goal.
Is it the worst you've ever seen?
No.
Okay.
No, you don't get that award.
We're not the worst.
But 65 is probably double the amount of movement that we'd want.
Okay.
Like in our ideal world, we'd want closer to like 20, 25 mil or so.
Okay.
Because that is quite a lot from side to side that you're always going through. And then you can see this kind of like little peak there as you kind of bounce on that saddle.
Yeah.
To make that a little bit more sensitive, you can probably see it better. There's this little bit here.
Yeah.
Kind of going up and down on the sensor. But hopefully we'll get better as we go shorter clickings.
Thanks.
Okay, so we are, if we were like to take this on video, we could be like, this is suddenly amazing, because it is amazing metric. But I wouldn't lean too much into it just yet. 50-50 in terms of distribution from side to side.
Okay.
20 mil of movement from side to side as well.
Oh,
So-
textbook.
Amazing, textbook. However, all of the pressure, I don't know if you can actually see underneath
Yeah.
there. All of the pressure is a little bit too centralised. for
Yeah.
me, I reckon. So I would like to, like that cluster now, barely moves around here.
Okay.
Right, like a massive contrast to this big line between there and there.
Yeah.
However, it all goes down the centre.
Yeah.
So what I would like to see if we can get a saddle that better distributes it through the back of those.
Okay.
Generally what I'm looking for is for it to be flatter over the top here,
Okay.
because on that saddle we're seeing like this distributed pressure there and there.
Yeah.
Kind of means that on that saddle that's on there, this might be a little bit high relative to that back.
Okay.
So when you lean forwards, you're disconnecting from this part.
Yeah.
So what we're trying to do is find a saddle that connects to that part and it brings it up towards you.
At one point, we'll beat my mechanic. We had my saddle, and he was strapping ice packs to it. We had lowered the saddle just so I could like sit on it. It was like we tried everything.
Oh wow!
Yeah, it was like like war stories. It was nails.
Well, it looked on social media very smooth.
The documentary will tell a different
Oh,
story.
really? Can you notice and feel the difference? Don't worry if you can't.
I don't know if the difference is natural or if I'm just like purposely trying to sit back a bit farther now in the saddle, but it feels good though.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I don't notice any like overwhelming pressure anywhere.
Better or worse than the previous one?
I think better.
When's the documentary out?
They're in editing right now, so and they're not sure whether it'll be this side of June or the other side of
right,
June.
okay,
But it's
yeah.
going to be a feature-length film, and it's going to all the film festivals, so it's going to be like quite big, which makes me nervous.
Does that feel weird as like, you know, as a human being to have a film made about you? Like,
Yeah. Well, and because they were with me for 10 months before the record, so they pretty much were like, yeah, they followed me around and basically lived my life with me. So it's going to be really nerve-wracking, but there's no one else I would trust more. So
yeah.
it's a weird feeling. And I just figured, like, why not? This is like the only time in my life where I could actually just take a year or two off and see what I could do. So yeah, thus began the side quest of seeing how far and how fast I can go on a bike.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So it's not like good or bad per se, but you see how much more even all of that graph is?
Yeah.
Whereas where you came in at was very uneven, right? The pressures were very much different in different parts of the saddle, whereas at least they're the same for every part of it, right? which bodes well, because then there's not like one part of the saddle which is taking all the brunt. It'd be interesting to try something else, because you still do get, let's pull it up, you're still getting this kind of pressure hotspot on the left, and we might not be able to solve that. That might be a you thing, not a saddle thing. But it would be interesting to see if there is, maybe like we've got a 3D printed one, see if that potentially changes the distribution a little bit better. And just see if we can make it better, obviously. Like, don't give up now, but way more stable.
We've already made so much progress.
Yeah.
The body does something funny when you're riding for that long. It's when I would come in and take a break, my team had to help me off the bike because I couldn't lift my legs, and they had to help me walk because my legs wouldn't walk. But the second I was back on the bike, it was fine. So your body just like adapts to like do what you're asking it to do after a few days. It was like unlike anything I've ever experienced. It was so weird. I panicked when it first started to happen, and my coach was like, "Oh no, that's normal. Like, it'll be fine."
So we've been going through a few different saddles. Our goal, so this is Sarah when she came in, concentrate pressure towards the left-hand side. And what we're using is we're using a graphical format to kind of look at how the pressure is distributed throughout the pedal stroke, and if there's like a concentration in a certain area. So what we're seeing is that there's like more pressure going through the right sit bone as she is effectively hitching herself over the top of the left. And then this was when we went down into aero previously, is we see this really wide scatter from left to right. And what we're aiming to do is make this scatter more symmetrical and tighter. So when we look at numerically, we're at like 36 millimeters side to side. Whereas when we're starting, we're at, on this one here, in aero, we're at 65 mil from side to side. So we're trying to get her to be more stable on the bike and more symmetrical on the bike. So shorter crown, slightly higher saddle, slightly higher aero bars, combined with different saddles.
Have you already mapped these ones, John? Yeah, so yeah, that's the brand new pair. So it'd be interesting to see, like for like, what the chamois, new chamois difference is. And then maybe we can try a medium and an extra small purely for the chamois position, because why not, right? Because if it's better in a certain position, we could potentially then have a pair made specially with it. It's quite easy to move the chamois as a one-off.
They're super comfortable. So I think it's just I don't put on the tight stuff until I'm actually in competition.
That's the thing, right? Maybe it ends up actually connects that for the chamois.
Yeah, it could be.
The brand
New versus old.
Versus how old, how used is that other pair?
So the other pair I got in August, and I've probably put 15,000 kilometers on them. But for the first 6 weeks they were abused. So I was out in my van in the Pyrenees. They were getting washed in the stream every day, hung dry in 40-degree sun, and ridden every day for hours. So I did not treat them well, and they have performed exceptionally.
That's still you're training in now?
Every day.
Same pair?
Yeah, I'm in that same pair. I rotate between 2 different pairs, and First, the butt will go see-through, and then your friends tell you, I can see everything. And then the pilling on the inside, and then the chamois, it just gets like squashed and just never really comes back. So you don't really have the same degree of padding. And I find over time with some of the bigger brands, my experience has been over the years, like that quality and tenure just kind of like decreases. So I've been so happy to find these.
Right, so what we're looking for here is hip range of motion. Because I'm noticing as Sarah comes up over the top of pedal stroke, on this side, there's a hard stop and there's a lift. So as soon as she gets on the bike, you can see that she tries to sit up and across every time she goes over the top of that pedal stroke. So what we've done today is we've tried to remove that top dead flexion over the top of the pedal stroke. So step number 1 was increasing saddle height. Step number 2 was decreasing crank length and decreasing forward flexion. So aero bars coming up higher and cranks not coming up as high means that more space over the top of the pedal stroke. So she doesn't need to destabilize the hip and constantly be bouncing up and down that left-hand side of the pedal stroke. So what we've also been testing is different saddles, and Ed's been really interested in different chamois placements inside his shorts. Not usually something that we can even consider, but obviously having Ed on board is really fun because we can potentially test these differences. So we tried a bunch of different saddles, pressure mapped them. I really like Sarah's idea of swapping or having different saddle options throughout the event. Then in terms of bib shorts, we tried new versus old. Actually very little difference between the two. And then we tried extra small, small and medium. We pretty much agreed that the extra small was the best fit in terms of garment and in terms of whereabouts the pad was positioned. Now it's a case of testing the extra small on the road with the saddles that we decide on and seeing how she gets on, really. And then we check back in and we try it again if needs be.
I've learned so much today.
Yeah, it's fascinating, isn't it? Really
so
fascinating.
So have you got any questions for us here?
I'm going to have a load once I leave, I think, and have time to process all of this. It's, I think what's been most fascinating is just understanding the different saddles and seeing what those were like. And then just, I think, knowledge is power. So knowing that I have that kind of lock in my left hip and that's causing a lot of instability, the light bulb has kind of gone off as to why I always get the saddle pain on that side. So I think just being aware of that is a really good first step. So.